The auditorium was packed with cadets preparing for class. The room was designed like a theater, featuring a half-circle arrangement of seats divided into various sections, all facing a large stage with a holographic screen above it. At the moment, the screen displayed an image of Professor Aaron, a renowned close combat master and professor of galactic combat history and techniques. Professor Aaron, a striking figure resembling a feathered angel with brown and gray plumage covering most of his body, stood on stage. His thin legs ended in powerful talons. Although known for his expertise in close combat, he was also well-versed in military history and strategy. He patiently waited for the cadets to settle down, aware that many aspired to become his apprentices and master the art of the blade. This thought brought a smile to his face. These eager young minds had no idea what they were about to learn. Welcome to this class on basic combat knowledge, Professor Aaron began. In this class, we will discuss what may seem like child's play. He was serious. The holographic screen above him changed to display a large playground where children of various species were playing games like hide and seek, run from the predator, and follow the leader. Professor Aaron glanced at the cadets and then back at the screen. To be young and carefree again. As you watch, you might notice that different species tend to favor different games. The screen highlighted a group of Gratsu children, known for their loyalty and discipline. The Gratsu love to play follow the leader, a trait that translates well into military structure. If you command Gratsu soldiers, expect them to follow orders to the letter, Professor Aaron explained. This revelation made the cadets sit up, realizing the lesson's seriousness. As the cadets began scanning the playground for children of their own species, Professor Aaron continued, "Yes, all your species are represented here, and this is a live feed. This research is reliable. Child play can indeed reflect adult behavior." A soft light illuminated one section, drawing attention to a species resembling bipeds with 2 arms and curled horns, known for direct and aggressive play. Professor Aaron addressed a cadet. "Yes, Cadet Snar, do you have a question?" The cadet stood up, his face appearing on the hologram. "What about our enemies? Can this method predict their behavior too? For instance, if we were to attack the Chundras, could studying their children's games help devise a battle plan?" "Excellent question," Professor Aaron responded. "Yes, the Chundras are known for playing games of confusion, such as shadow play, which they excel at. This skill translates into their preference for sneak attacks in warfare." Another light illuminated, and he turned to another cadet. "Yes, Cadet Gorgon, what's your question?" "What about the humans?" Gorgon asked, causing the room to fall silent. Humans were a species capable of holding their own against the entire Galactic Confederation, feared by all. Professor Aaron sighed. "They are the last species we'll discuss, but let's address it now, as it's crucial. We will divide the study of human childhood play into 3 sections: early childhood games, adolescent years, and finally, sports and adult games. Yes, this will include their unique mating rituals." The cadets leaned in with interest as Professor Aaron resumed the hologram. They were initially disappointed to see more children playing on a playground, but Professor Aaron explained, "Observe the playground. Notice the sticks on the ground, seemingly ignored by most children. However, on a human playground, watch what happens." The screen showed an identical playground on a human world. "We have permission from these humans for this research," Professor Aaron noted. As the human children entered the playground, they began playing various games. However, a few children noticed the sticks, picked them up, and began mock sword fights. Professor Aaron paused the hologram, capturing a moment where one boy was about to strike his friend, while another aimed for his friend's foot. "Yes, this is one of their games," Professor Aaron said. "While they play many typical games, humans also play with sticks as if they were swords. This play activity gives all humans a basic understanding of using weapons like swords, daggers, axes, or spears from a young age." The cadets murmured among themselves, realizing the significance of these seemingly simple games in understanding potential combat skills and strategies. In the scene depicted, a hologram displays a fight among a group of children. Initially, it starts as a duel between 2 kids but quickly escalates into a brawl involving 8 children, 5 boys and 3 girls. One of the boys suddenly drops his stick and tackles another child to the ground. At this moment, an adult intervenes, shouting to stop the chaos. The children immediately cease their fighting and the adult checks for any injuries, ensuring everyone is safe before leaving. The children exchange glances, smile, and resume their playful combat. Professor Aaron, who is observing the scene, stops the hologram and addresses a class of cadets. He explains that the children, despite their young age, exhibit a basic understanding of both armed and unarmed combat. This indicates that they have a natural inclination towards fighting, which is nurtured from childhood through games. Professor Aaron emphasizes that this behavior reflects their innate predatory instincts but also notes their ability to work in groups, similar to how animals operate in herds. He points out that they can easily identify objects to use as weapons, showcasing a sharp and adaptive mentality. A cadet named Jairus, shocked and curious, asks why one of the children abandoned his stick to fight with his fists. Professor Aaron explains that the child likely felt that his opponent had broken the rules and responded out of anger, wanting to inflict real harm. He suggests that this reaction is a glimpse of what humans call berserk rage, a state where a person is driven by intense anger to act violently. He warns the cadets that humans despise cheating and that while they respect clever tactics, blatant cheating can provoke a destructive response. He advises that the only way to de-escalate such situations is through the intervention of a respected figure, preferably a human, who allows the aggrieved party to vent their anger before stopping them. The class, taken aback by the intensity of human behavior, is left in silence. Even species from harsh environments do not have their children engaging in combat at such a young age, focusing instead on defense and survival. The cadets are left contemplating the nature of humans, whom they now view as formidable beings. Professor Aaron ends the session, promising to explore the games and training practices humans engage in during their adolescent years, which is when most species typically learn about combat. He activates the hologram again, showing the human children now playing with crates of Nerf guns, engaging in what looks like a mock war. The cadets watch in horror and fascination as the children, aged 7 to 10, conduct their play battle with an intensity and organization reminiscent of seasoned military personnel. As the session concludes, Professor Aaron notices some cadets have fainted from shock. The next day, the classroom is even more crowded, with more cadets eager to learn about human behavior. Professor Aaron, observing the increased interest, welcomes everyone, including a senior figure, Major Gustar, who is not a cadet but has come to witness the lecture. The Major, resembling a human but with distinct features like golden skin, pointy ears, and a tail, sits with his species, accompanied by a young woman who appears to be his daughter. Professor Aaron begins the session with a hologram of various species engaged in physical training, emphasizing that in adolescence, beings often become more physically active to attract mates or impress peers, forming bonds within their groups. The class is set to continue exploring the unique and intense ways in which humans and other species develop combat skills and social bonds during their formative years. In their youth, humans tend to gravitate toward different skills. Those who are quick and agile often prefer activities that emphasize speed and evasion. Meanwhile, others who may not be as fast focus on developing strength and intimidation tactics. Wrestling, a noble sport among humans, is a prime example, though it's advised not to try this sport with humans. When the topic shifted to humans, the audience's interest peaked. They expected to see young boys engaging in violent competition for status, but instead, the screen displayed teenagers involved in team-building exercises and sports like running, climbing, swimming, and ball games. This left the cadets confused, as they had anticipated a display of combat and aggression. One cadet, Yaris, asked, "Why are they less violent now? I don't see any combat, just sports." Professor Aon explained that the activities shown were part of their school curriculum and suggested they watch what happens outside of school. The hologram then switched to a sports center where boys and girls were engaged in more intense physical training, including a combat ring. The cadets watched as two teens sparred fiercely with kicks, strikes, and grappling, though no weapons were involved. To their surprise, the match ended with the participants embracing and receiving feedback from an instructor, revealing that they were friends. The scene changed again to another center focused on archery, highlighting that humans still practice with traditional weapons for recreation. Professor Aon pointed out that while these activities might seem harmless, there are other aspects of human behavior that are more concerning. The hologram then showed a teenage boy engrossed in a video game, controlling a large-scale combat scenario involving space and ground battles. Despite the intensity of the game, the boy casually sipped soda and trash-talked his opponent, who was actually a Doran officer using advanced equipment. The Major, intrigued, asked, "Is this true? He commands all those troops?" Professor Aon confirmed, explaining that the boy was playing a stolen military simulator sold as entertainment. He further elaborated that humans have a habit of turning real battles into games, allowing players to experience historical combat scenarios. This skill in gaming translates into the real world, where humans use drone soldiers and strategic simulations extensively. The session was about to conclude with a demonstration of human teenagers handling real firearms, but the cadets were surprised again. The teens treated the weapons with respect and focus, contrary to the carnage the cadets had expected. This depiction highlighted a complex and nuanced understanding of human behavior, blending playfulness with discipline. Professor Aaron noted that the Boreans, a highly disciplined alien race, often find human behavior baffling. He explained that because the Boreans consider many human activities frivolous, the humans created weapons that don't kill but merely tag targets for training purposes. During a training exercise, the cadets witnessed a chaotic mock battle involving grenades, guns, and knives. The humans treated it like a game, laughing and joking. However, when a teenager fell and broke a foot, the game halted instantly. The injured was taken care of, and the game resumed once the situation was resolved. Professor Aaron highlighted this as a key observation about humans: they can swiftly transition from a playful to a serious demeanor and back again. This adaptability is essential to human nature. They can control their emotions, viewing loss of control as dishonorable, with exceptions in combat situations where they may enter a berserk state, a terrifying and seemingly mindless rage driven by intense emotion but still directed by intent. This capability extends to every human, even those who appear harmless, like the elderly. To illustrate, Professor Aaron displayed a hologram showing a middle-aged woman, referred to as Grandma, fiercely defending herself against two Boreans who had harmed her dog. The Boreans, green, lizard-like creatures with 4 arms and a powerful tail, were no match for the enraged woman who, with a simple stick, managed to kill one and chase off the other. This intense, protective rage has been colloquially termed John Wick by humans, named after a fictional character renowned for relentless vengeance, particularly when a loved one is harmed. The discussion then shifted to the behavior of human adolescents, particularly males, who often exhibit increased aggression and a tendency to form gangs, leading to significant trouble. Professor Aaron explained the concept of juvenile detention centers, facilities where young offenders are placed under armed guard. This system aims to protect society and help these youths develop better self-control. Continuing, Professor Aaron emphasized that humans take the upbringing of their children seriously. They strive to remove individuals who lack self-control from society, maintaining order and safety. This disciplinary approach extends to interactions with other species. Any display of undisciplined behavior is swiftly dealt with, often harshly, to ensure the group's safety and integrity. As the lecture concluded, Admiral Junka of the Galactic Union Military Academy joined the conversation. He acknowledged the importance of understanding human behavior, including their mating practices, to better engage with them and mitigate potential threats. Professor Aaron agreed, noting that understanding these practices is crucial for maintaining a stable population and, by extension, a capable military force. The lecture then delved into human mating rituals, which, though seemingly trivial, play a significant role in societal dynamics and military readiness. The professor presented footage of cadets engaging in social activities, including drinking, joking, dancing, and occasional romantic encounters. These behaviors, while normal for humans, highlight cultural differences that can be perplexing to other species. Throughout the lecture, the focus remained on understanding humans not just as potential adversaries but as complex beings with unique cultural practices and emotional depth. This understanding, Professor Aaron argued, is essential for peaceful coexistence and effective cooperation within the Galactic Union. Cadet Non, your understanding is correct. In our species, rituals are performed for fun and not necessarily as potential mating signals. Professor Ein acknowledged Non's response and continued, we generally adhere to the traditions of our species and do not intermingle much. He then pointed to the hologram and asked, can you identify what else is different, Non? Non observed the hologram, glanced around the hall, and then returned his gaze to the hologram. Under the curious eyes of everyone present, he noted, here, we are sitting together, male and female. However, in the hologram, there's a distinct separation between the seating areas for males and females. Professor Ein smiled approvingly and said, excellent observation, Non. I will recommend you for the intelligence division based on your keen insight. Please have a seat. He then addressed the audience, observe how humans in similar settings act. They have places called nightclubs and bars, where the primary activity is consuming alcoholic drinks, a substance humans favor for intoxication. Let's examine the behaviors in such environments. The hologram displayed a typical nightclub scene with young adults dancing, flirting, and some already engaging in kissing. The lively music prompted a few cadets to subtly sway to the rhythm. After allowing them some time to observe, Professor Ein paused the hologram and asked, what's the most noticeable difference here? Several students were eager to respond, so he called on Cadet Shadu, a humanoid with green skin, red and bluish hair, and no nose, resembling an exotic mermaid to human eyes, fitting her species' aquatic nature. Shadu stood up and said, "Thank you for selecting me. The first thing I noticed is that the humans are mixed together. Additionally, both sexes are actively participating in what appears to be mating rituals. There's dancing that isn't necessarily aimed at mating, and conversations that seem intended to secure a potential partner." Professor Ein nodded approvingly and said, "That's an excellent observation, Shadu. I'll also recommend you for further training. Yes, humans do mix freely, and it's not uncommon for females to initiate mating rituals. There are numerous ways they engage in these behaviors." He paused for dramatic effect as the hologram shifted to show different scenes: a sports arena where young men were showcasing their football skills to impress females, a martial arts contest staged to appeal to a woman's favor, and a dance club where rhythm was used to attract attention. The cadets observed as the settings changed, highlighting various performative activities like sports, dancing, playing musical instruments, and singing. Some female cadets showed particular interest in the holograms depicting young men displaying their physiques. Professor Ein pointed out, despite these displays, the most crucial trait in human courtship isn't physical prowess or performance, it's charisma. The hologram transitioned to a cozy cantina where a group of teenage boys and girls were sharing a pizza, accompanied by soft background music. "Focus on this group," Professor Ein instructed. "Boy 1 is interested in Girl 1. Girl 1 is friends with girls 2, 3, and 4. Girl 2 is already in a pre-mating relationship with Boy 2. Boy 3 seems to be here just for the food. Watch closely, we've translated the conversation for clarity. Afterward, we'll discuss how these behaviors relate to their war tactics." The students watched for the next 30 minutes as Boy 1 attempted to woo Girl 1 using humor, mild deception, and some playful banter. Surprisingly, Boy 3 distracted girls 3 and 4 from interfering, while Boy 2 kept Girl 2 engaged and occasionally supported Boy 1's efforts with Girl 1. Eventually, Girl 1 agreed to go on a date with Boy 1 without her friends, leaving Boy 2 and Girl 2 pleased and girls 3 and 4 irritated at Boy 3 for his relentless conversation. Professor Ein concluded, "What you observed were human teenagers, roughly 15 to 16 years old, engaging in flirting, a crucial prelude to mating. The primary goal is for the initiator to convince the potential mate to consider them as a partner using wit and strategic communication. Boys 2 and 3 functioned as what humans call wingmen, assisting Boy 1 by distracting the girl's friends or enhancing his appeal. This practice begins as soon as they recognize the differences between sexes." Now, why is this relevant to warfare? As Professor Ein prepared to delve deeper into the implications of these behaviors for military strategy, he was interrupted by Major GJ from Military Intelligence, who unexpectedly volunteered to contribute to the discussion. The Major, who belonged to the same species but had darker feathers, questioned the classification of humans on the cross-mating scale. "Where do humans fall on this scale?" he asked. The response came promptly, "I see where you're going with this. Humans are classified as Class 6, with their pheromones rated at 9. This means they can mate successfully with other Class 6 species. This classification includes most of the upper military and diplomatic species used by the Galactic Union. It's quite common among bipedal species, and their level of mental manipulation matches that of their class. Therefore, a child from this species could easily deceive most of our cadets into sharing information without them realizing. Furthermore, young adults could seduce our officers if encountered in a combat situation. It gets worse," the speaker continued. "Humans have even managed to seduce prisoners of war to their side during interrogations." Professor Aaron then demonstrated this with a programmed hologram. A bare-chested human male appeared on the screen, showcasing a sculpted physique, minimal body fat, and a charismatic smile. His eyes locked onto Major Gustar's beautiful daughter. "Hello, gorgeous. What deity did your parents steal you from?" The girl's jaw dropped, and she bit her lips, struggling to suppress a blush. Other females in the crowd showed signs of jealousy, clearly envious of the attention this figure gave to only one woman. The male cadets laughed and made snide remarks. Professor Aaron ignored them and continued his explanation. He pointed out that the absence of feathers and fur on humans accentuates their muscularity, which is something their species instinctively finds attractive. Humans also have to stand out among their peers, and their ability to use charm and wit to diffuse hostile situations or gather information without violence is a key trait. The use of females as a strategy would not be effective, he said with a smirk. He then presented another hologram, a stunning human woman who almost tripped into the scene. She wore modest attire that accentuated her form, and she giggled as she apologized for her apparent clumsiness. Her movements and mannerisms were designed to captivate the audience, and her flirtatious remarks were directed at a group of male cadets from various species. As the hologram vanished, the room fell into a heavy silence. Professor Aaron let the impact of the demonstration sink in before he continued. He reminded the audience that the holograms were just that, holograms, and that they were not affected by human pheromones. He explained that humans are trained from childhood in combat skills and are adept at adapting their mating rituals to suit their partner's preferences. This training, combined with their military training, makes them formidable opponents. He emphasized that what was shown was merely the surface of what humans are willing to share publicly. The intricacies of their behavior and training, observed through research, reveal that their childhood experiences are akin to a rigorous boot camp. In closing, Professor Aaron turned off the projector and addressed the crowd, stating, "This concludes our exploration into the complexities and remarkable traits of humanity as observed by the Galactic Union. From their childhood games that prepare them for combat to their elaborate mating rituals, we've seen how humans combine adaptability, charisma, and resilience. If this deep dive into human behavior and its implications for interstellar relations has intrigued you, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue exploring and sharing fascinating stories from across the galaxy. Every comment with the word Unity will be greatly appreciated. Thank you for being part of this enlightening journey.